Kitchen talk, conversations that cook. Kitchen talk, conversations that cook. What you want to talk about? Kitchen talk, conversations that cook. Kitchen talk, Lisa, Loke, JT, and friends. Kitchen talk, conversations that cook. Kitchen talk, conversations that cook. What you want to talk about? Kitchen talk, conversations that cook. Kitchen talk, Lisa, Loke, JT, and friends.
Lisa, Lorraine, JT, and friends. Y'all ready to pick up some conversation? Come on.
Kitchen talk.
Let's talk.
Hey, everybody. Welcome. Thank you for joining us here on Kitchen Talk CTC. If my guys were here, they say conversations that cook, because that's what we do in the kitchen. I am so excited. I kicked all the guys out, like even the engineer. I kicked everybody out, all the guys out. So it's just the ladies, and we know that girls run the world. I mean, it's just what we do, right?
No boys allowed.
Absolutely.
So I am so excited to be here with you guys. Starting with Miss Barbara Hairston. Oh my goodness, I am so excited to have her here with us. I love her granddaughter. We've had her on the show a few times, Miss Kenya Williams. And I thought when I heard about Miss Harrison, I was like, oh my gosh, she would be so great for this conversation. So I'm so excited to have her here. She was the first African American vice president of, is it Lakeland Medical?
Lakeland Regional Health, that's called now. It was Lakeland Regional Medical Center back then.
So I know she has a wealth of wisdom to share with us on that journey. And then we also have with us Dr. Yanela McLeod, one of my coworkers and friend. And she is, oh my God, how many hats do you wear? Let me see. Okay, one is author, one is media mogul, one is communication mommy, wife, mommy, all of them, journalist, professor, history professor. I mean, just the list goes on and on and on and on and on. And then Ms. Harrison is also very active in the faith community as well. I understand from Kenya, you have written a book about how to kind of reopen from the pandemic. Is that right?
Yes.
Wow.
Last month.
Wow. So we're going to get into all of that here on Kitchen Talk. And those who watch know how many hats I wear, because me, France, and JT talk about that all the time. And here's my other guest. I'm so excited. Hey, Charmaine.
Hi, Miss Lisa.
How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good. Thank you. And so we have Charmaine Shaw with us. She is an actress who has moved her way across this great United States over to California, to pursue her dreams, coming right out of the Essential Theater at the Florida Agricultural and Mechanical University. I don't know if y'all can see this, but my earrings say HBCU made. And of course, it's got a rattler on there, y'all. Y'all know that. So this conversation is one that, like all of our other conversations on Kitchen Talk, we hope spark other conversations to come out of it, and the thoughtfulness of it. So this is what I titled this episode for this week is it magic, Black girls? So that's where we going tonight.
Love it.
Is it magic?
I like it.
When I think about it, because we have this story that's kind of told about us, and not necessarily a narrative that we say, but it's a narrative that's being told. And sometimes it ain't quite like that. I saw this commercial, and it was a sports commercial for the most part. And they were showing all of these different things, and they were talking about it's not really magic, it's work. We work at what we do. We sacrifice, we do this, we do that, we do the other. Now, don't get me wrong, we do it with great grace and style and finesse and something that people want to emulate and imitate. But it's not all magic. It is work. It is work being a Black girl magic worker. It is work. So let's get into that. Is it magic? Let's start with Dr. McLeod. Is it magic, Black girl?
I think when people are using that terminology about magic, I think what they are trying to target is the level of excellence and color and productivity and strength that exudes from Black women when we are operating at our best. And that is something that there's no formula to it. It's just kind of innate in our lineage, in our heritage. It's passed down from generation. So I think that's a moniker that's elevating and affirming our excellence and our potential and our capabilities, because when we do it well, and we do it at such a level that people never even thought could be achieved. So when they see a Venus and Serena play at that level, or they see this young lady, this young girl that's running track with the gold hair and the fingernails, and they see her blow those women out of the water, running faster than anyone has run before, singing louder than anyone has sung before, performing greater than anyone has performed before, we keep elevating the benchmark. And I think that's the magic that they're talking about, because it's not a formula, it's not a structure, it's something that is produced when we are operating at our full potential, free from limitations, and within our opportunity. Now, that being said, being able to perform and execute at that level is not magic. That is something that takes tremendous sacrifice, discipline, focus, long suffering in a lot of cases, having to deal with these barriers and parameters that have been institutionalized, that have withheld women from operating in their greatness, and certainly Black women. So when we're talking about just being a Black woman who exists in this culture, in this country, in this world, that took perseverance, strength, and a mindset of survival. And so that's the part that's not magic. It's real, and it's a burden that's not shared by anyone like Black women.
Absolutely. So let's hear from Queen Hairston. I gotta call her Queen. I gotta pay homage. Yes.
Goodness. Well, thank you very much. I was thinking about my personal journey as you were talking, and so much of what you said applies to me. It takes perseverance, it takes knowledge, it takes a lot of strength, it takes courage sometimes. I'm from that generation that required a lot of courage and fortitude to do what you do. When I graduated from high school, I was told that I could not attend the school in my hometown. And the only reason, it wasn't because of my academics, it was because I was Black. And they said, you just can't do that. We'll help you in some other way. And I was devastated, because this was in the late 1950s, and certainly many things were beginning to change a little bit back then. But through perseverance, to standing on the shoulders of others, and I think as the magic that we talk about includes those shoulders that we stand on to move forward in our own personal journeys. And through the years, I've always had those shoulders to stand on. I started my career when Lakeland Hospital, that I became a vice president of, it was the second largest hospital in the state of Florida at that time. There were so many people there to help me in my journey in those segregated times to keep me uplifted. And Black girls, part of the magic is the support that we give to one another as we go through our journeys, because I'm a firm believer that nothing happens in life because of you alone. All this is life is not a solo journey. It's a journey that we all take together and share as Black women, and we stand together.
Absolutely, absolutely. And now we're standing on the trail that you have blazed for us. Before we get to you, Charmaine, let me ask you this, Miss Harrison. What was it that made you even want to start that process of leadership in that way, knowing what you were facing? What was it that kind of made you say, no, I need to go ahead and do this?
Well, I think in my first book that I wrote, I talk about my grandmother. And when I was a very little girl, she told me, she says, Barbara, I want you to always remember that in this life, you can be anything that you want to be. And so I grew up believing that the Ku Klux Klan was still riding in our neighborhood. Segregation was prominent everywhere. But she said, never give up on your dreams. You can do what you want to do. And so every step of my life's journey and in every season of my life, I hear her words. They're always with me. And those are the same words that I've tried to instill in my grandchildren and in my children. Never doubt your ability to be whatever you want to be. You can get to the top of Maslow's hierarchy and do what you want to do in this life. Just never doubt that.
Absolutely.
My journey wasn't easy. It certainly wasn't an easy journey. You can imagine working in a segregated facility, being very, very young at that time. I was quite young, but there are those women that I worked with who were the wind beneath my wings. They said, come on in here, girl. You're going to make it. We're going to help you to make it, and you're going to do very well. And so all of it came true, but it was because of the support of other people. And it was because I could always hear my grandmother's words echoing in my mind. You can be anything that you want to be. And it was because of her and other community builders, that I call them, that served us all very well back then.
Oh, that is so wonderful. Oh my goodness. Charmaine, is it Magic Black Girl?
I think it depends on who you ask. I think it is magic, but I think it's kind of what everyone was saying. It's magic in our community. It's magic within our circle. But it's also the inner strength and magic within us. You know, I think once we, as a culture, once we decide we're going to do something, we do it. You know, and I think that's where the magic lies. It's like because of our community being able to instill in us, you can do whatever you want to do. You can be whatever you want to be. That, you know, translates. I mean, it's like, to me, in our DNA. You know, if someone tells me I can't do anything, I can't comprehend that. I don't understand that. So I literally will argue with you because I don't understand what you're saying to me, you know. And I've noticed that, especially with my group of friends and, you know, my sister's friends, we all kind of have the same mindset, but our parents have the same mindset. So it's almost, it is a magic in our community that is within us, you know. But I say it depends on who you ask, because who's allowed to say it's magic? You know what I mean? Like it becomes a question of you know, that the idea of the strong Black woman. You know, if you refer to me, if you were of another race and you refer to me as a Black girl, you know, with magic, you're othering me still, as opposed to humanizing me. And it's not necessarily a good thing when I hear that from another race. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like it becomes an opportunity to take away the humanity within us. It becomes an opportunity to bestow that strong Black woman trope on us, which then goes, oh, you can handle it, you can handle it, you can handle it, and takes away the feeling and the emotion and the empathy and sympathy that people can have for us, because we bear the brunt of this world, you know. So that it's a lot, but that's my answer.
And I'm glad that's a good segue into this next part that I was thinking. When we talk about, you know, Black girl magic, I think about how sometimes we're invisible until we just appear. You know, it's like people don't really pay us a lot of attention. People don't see us until one day we burst on the scene and we're doing something that's spectacular. But we've been doing that all along, right? So I think about it can be kind of making us like this mythical creature, like you were just saying, that can handle whatever comes at them. And not to say that we haven't, but it doesn't mean that we want to either. So from the time of being brought over on slave ships and how the Black female body was treated as if it was not human, and now it's like we're struggling and we're fighting to prove that we are human. And so sometimes when we get into that Black girl magic, it's like, okay, what are you saying? Are you saying that, you know, we're just these super human creatures that can do anything and nothing bothers us? And then we get into this whole, like you were saying, the strong Black woman, but we got feelings. We get tired. We get hurt, we get burnt out, you know, and then do we heap some of that on ourselves too? Because we seem to keep going instead of saying, you know what, you can't talk to me like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. When I was doing my thesis, it was actually on the mental health of Black women. And one thing that I found like just astonishing is, as Black women, we were some of the last people that the Mental Health Society actually studied. So they went white men, you know, white women, Black men, and then it was us. You know, of course there were other races, but they're just now starting to break down our health mentally, right? But a part of that goes to the what's the word? The part that we played within the family household. You know, we were the matriarchs, we're the mothers, we're the ones that kind of keep everything together. We hold the man together, we hold the children together, you know, and after we take care of the man, we take care of the children, and then we come last. So that has kind of trickled down into our society, right? And we don't think about ourselves. We don't think about our health. We don't think about these things. But when we have high numbers of obesity, diabetes, heart disease, right? All of these things linked to stress that can be undone if we just slow down and pay attention to ourselves. But part of that part of paying attention to ourselves means that our, you know, other members of our community have to be able to step up as well, and have to be able to step in and say, hey, let me take this off of you. You know, so it's kind of like a 2-in-1. We need to be able to step back and say, someone else can handle this. I got to take care of me. But also our children have to be able to kind of go, okay, mom is a little tired. We need to take the burden off of her. How can we help her? So it definitely does affect us a lot, you know, which is why we have so many health conditions, which is why, you know, we're not studied as much. We're just now starting to, you know, play a role in this mental health thing. You know what I mean? Before, we like go to church and pray, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, and part of that was our issue. you know, because we're sending our kids and our men go to church and pray, you know, but are we going to church and we praying? Are we taking time out to think about us? You know, so that's something that I noticed with us when I did my thesis, is that a lot of the problems that we have physically are linked to our stress levels, and our stress levels are linked to the role that we play, not only in society, but in our very own households.
Right, absolutely. So we've always been the caregivers. If it's not our kids, it's somebody else's kids, it's somebody else's family. So, Dr. McLeod, have you felt what I want to say, ever felt like you were invisible until you just appeared? It was like you were unheard until you just appeared. So that kind of magic.
No. I am the only girl of my mother's children.
Oh, wow.
Very visible and very vocal. And I had a very strong mother. One thing we're talking about, but I understand what you're saying. And you can get lost in the loss of part of just everyday going, trying to maintain, trying to achieve, and you can lose yourself, disappear to yourself, to what is important to you, what's your goals, what's your aspirations. And I have experienced that, where I had to just kind of wake myself up to say, you're fading back in your potential. And so you got to pull yourself out of it. But thank God that I had a mother that instilled faith in me, that instilled prayer in me. I had a mother who I could call and talk to, even when I didn't understand what was going on. And when I'm a talker and a communicator, and when I was just being silenced and regressing into myself, I could call my mother and say, something's going on. And it was about what Charmaine was talking about, that stress level, because you thrive at such a high level. It takes a lot of energy to do it. I struggled with perfectionism. I struggled with all of those things. And at the end of the day, if it wasn't perfect, I didn't want to do it. And so I'm going to push and push and push. And then you run out of steam. You run out of energy. And in everything, in relationships, in your career aspirations, in your goals and dreams. And so I started to fade in myself. And but I had a mother that I could turn to and talk to, and she was able to walk me through that thing. Now I can appreciate how she was able to do it because of her own experiences. And no one knows you better than your mother if you have a good mother. So she knew my character traits. So she was able to help me through that. But when we're talking about the Black girl magic connotation, I think what's really cool about that is that's something that we created. That was something that Black women created to honor and to esteem Black women in all they do when they achieve. And as long as, and like what Charmaine was saying, it depends on who's saying it, because I may not take that. I might have to be skeptical or pause for a moment if it's not coming from somebody in our community or somebody who knows us. So that's a very good perspective to focus on. I never thought about it that way, Charmaine. But when if I think we created it, we need to own it, and we need to control that narrative. Because even in that narrative with the Black girl magic, when I see and hear some of these shows, they talk about what women had to do and what they had to endure to get to this point. And so I think that's very important. I've had my experiences where I have felt that other people were disrespecting me because of either my youth or my gender. And I had to learn how to recognize that, and I had to learn how to address it. And it was kind of just like an instinctual kind of thing that happened. But once you get it, and once it clicks, you keep your little spidey senses up. And so that's my experience from that. I've never really felt invisible, but I understand how I could feel. I could get lost in my own goals and efforts.
Wow. Interesting that you say that about your spidey senses. So I've been pretty much a leader since I was a little girl, president of youth ministry and president of youth choir or this or that or the other, always in a leadership role. But sometimes I felt invisible because I would share an idea and it was like I didn't say nothing. My male counterpart would come, share the same idea, and it was like, "Woo, that's a great idea." What? Did I not just say that?
How dare you?
And it kind of continues even to today. It's like I had this idea and I got kind of passed on to somebody else and they were like, well, you're not going to be able to handle her. I got to be handled. What does that mean? And I also heard another one of our female leaders say we have to learn how to relinquish our need for credit. And I'm like, credit? So in order to get the job done, just let the job be done and you just be okay with not getting the credit. So if your male counterpart or your male white counterpart or your female white counterpart get the credit for the idea, as long as the greater good is served, it's okay. So Ms. Harrison, can you speak to that at all?
I can. I was listening intently to everything that you said. More often than not in life, particularly in this day, we don't always get the credit. But I feel that as long as you know within yourself that you've done your best and you've done what has been called upon you to do, it's okay to let people know, hey, I helped to generate this idea. I did this. I don't always stand back and let other people take the credit for the things that I do. And sometimes we see that more than at other times. It happens in the workplace, but it also happens, like you say, in our colleges. It happens in our churches, sometimes more than you realize. I'm sure that you do. It happens in multiple places where people are used to having male dominance, and most of the ideas coming either from someone older, someone more educated, or of that nature. But I think it's okay sometimes to toot your own horn and let people know what you have achieved. Sometimes our story won't get told. I think you alluded to that earlier, spoke to that earlier. If we're going to claim what we need to claim, we need to let our light shine. If the press releases or other things that are written about us, about our community, is not what we wanted to say, write the press release yourself. I think that we have the power, going all the way back to the time of Invictus when he talked about the fact that we have to set our own course and set our own trail. And I just think it's okay to do that, particularly with our youth and young people that we're being role models for in everything that we say and in everything that we do. It is of critical importance.
Nice. So France has chimed in. Thanks for watching, even though I kicked y'all out the kitchen. He says, I agree with Dr. McLeod. Got to continue to support the magic you see in yourselves and in others. That is so true. I know we get fed this other narrative that, Black women can't get along and we don't like each other and that whole jazz and scene or whatever. But it is so more not true than it is true. I mean, sure, if you watch reality TV,
It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous
It
and
is.
appalling.
Right. And they're literally showing you. He also likes your comments, Mrs. Harrison. And they're showing you, just literally showing you the drama that they make up, because life has its own drama. If you really just follow people, you'll get a little bit of drama out of just following people. You ain't got to make it up. And so that continues to feed that whole stereotype of, that black women don't get along, or women don't get along, and that sort of thing. But it is so, again, we are the village and we are the community. And I think we do more together than we actually do apart. And a lot of us already know that. And so, again, going back to what Ms. Harrison said, you have to continue to band together, and we have to tell our own story. I like that. I'm going to start writing my own press release.
Amen.
What you talking about?
I write all of mine.
Yes, Dr. McLeod.
There's something that Harrison said that just really kind of spoke to my spirit. One was when her grandmother, in the peak of segregation, and I'm sure that her grandmother was probably born in the early what? When was your grandmother born, Miss Harrison?
She was born in the late 1800s.
So she's coming. Right, I was right at Reconstruction.
Right.
This is just a few years, not even 50 years after slavery. So someone who knows, whose parents were probably slaves if they were in this country.
Absolutely.
And so she's seen the limitation that was put on us legally in this country when it comes to not being seen as a human being. And so think about the messages that her mother had to tell her in order for her to be able to tell her granddaughter, you can do whatever you want to do. And you're doing it in a time when the world has made policy to say, no, you can't.
Right.
But you're doing it in spite of. That's Black girl magic, right?
That's Black girl magic.
And that's the type of stuff, that kind of speaking and building the spirit and the mind and the psychology of that next generation is the value of the Black woman's experience. And then when we're talking about signing your name, one of the things that stuck out to me in that movie, Hidden Figures, this was turmoil for that lady to think about whether she should put her name on her work.
Oh my goodness.
And to the moon. And this was all about survival, because I need to survive. This is what I love to do, the numbers and everything, but I have a family and I've got respect that I want and I have to earn. And the whole movie was about whether that lady was going to put her name on that paper.
No.
And at the end of the movie, not only did she sign, she got in that room and sat down at that table.
Right.
That takes such tenacity, and that takes such assurance and understanding that I am of value. I value myself. I value my work, and I'm not going to let you denigrate me. That's Black girl magic.
Oh my.
That's what historically society has tried to demonize in Black women by hitting us with negative stereotypes about the angry Black woman or the aggressive Black woman or any of this kind of stuff. It's us standing up for ourselves that's an offense to the status quo.
Right.
If they can't handle it, they denigrate it and make it feel like you are the monster. You are the one who's doing something wrong. But one thing I have been looking forward to is being able to impart the wisdom to hit that moment in womanhood where you just kind of become wise. I've been looking for that moment. You know what I mean? Because I've got Black women in my life who will pull me and they've said, come here. They've seen it. Let me tell you something. They tell me this about being a wife, about being a mother, about being a daughter. And they've schooled me in those quiet corners. That's that wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, my God, they didn't have to read about it. They didn't have to think about it. It just came out.
Absolutely.
I've been looking forward to hitting that moment like Miss Harrison. I had one day and I was like, ooh, that was a wise moment right there. And I was like, okay, I'm walking in, I'm getting ready in there. So I like how you got 4 generations of people on this call because we're at different levels. But
yep.
Wisdom and that courage and that perseverance, all of those are things that we need to guard and protect and not apologize for.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Very well said, Dr. McLeod.
Thank you.
Absolutely. I think about my time in Seattle, and it is the fifth whitest city in the United States. And I think about all of the discussions about diversity and equality and these sort of things. And there were moments that I would have to I felt like I had to censor myself for not being labeled the angry Black woman. But there came a point where I didn't care what you call me. I'm going to speak up and I'm going to tell you if, especially if you ask me. If you ask me, you're going to get my whole opinion. If you let me sit over here and be quiet, then I'm going to sit over here and be quiet. But now if you ask me, you're going to get all of it. And so you do come to a point where you're not worried about that stereotype of the angry Black woman anymore. You're just going to have to tell the truth and tell the truth as you see it and tell the truth as you feel it. Because somehow along the line, somebody forgot that we have feelings. I have feelings. I have true thoughts and opinions, and you can prick me with some of your stereotypes. You know, that is not me. I am not angry. I'm just as passionate as you are.
Passionate, that's the word.
I'm just as passionate, and I'm also intelligent. I'm intelligent enough to know that we can have a conversation, and I know it was not you that enslaved me. I'm intelligent. I know that. But if we don't have the conversation, then you got your thoughts and how you think I'm feeling about it because you won't ask me.
Amen.
Because you won't ask me. And so when we do conversations like this, especially on Kitchen Talk, because like I told y'all, we talk about everything under the sun, over the sun, in the middle of the sun. If we can open the sun up, we talk about whatever is in there too. But it's these type of conversations that we need. I hate JT. I hate you, JT.
But he said people. He didn't say women.
Right.
We're not always angry. Okay, we're very passionate.
Thank you, Charmaine. We
Our
are
talk
very
gets
passionate.
filled with passion very quickly,
Right.
more quickly
And
than others. And that's
Right.
okay.
And sometimes we have to speak louder so the tall people can't hear us.
You know, sometimes we have to be a little bit more extra because we get hidden in the crowd. That's all. That's all.
And we're not short, we're fun size. So
Exactly.
get that together.
Exactly.
But Charmaine, in your generation, how are you guys addressing, or do you even have to address the angry Black woman stereotype?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes. I think I can't speak for my generation. I think I'm different. I think everybody thinks that they're different. But I feel like I'm different because I had a child young. So for me, I am more conscious. Now, don't get me wrong. You know me, Miss Lisa.
Yes, I do, baby.
You know I don't hold nothing back. So for me, it's interesting as my daughter gets older, I'm becoming more calmer. For instance, I was just talking about this today. We lived in Simi Valley. And if you don't know Simi Valley, that is where they held the case for Rodney King. Remember, they moved the case out of Los Angeles and they moved to the Simi Valley. All right, that's where we lived at. So my daughter attended school there for a year and a half. And in the beginning, everything was cool. You know, she had a little trouble making friends, and eventually she started to warm into it. Then COVID hit, and then they resumed school again, but they were closed. You know, they only had a few kids coming in for those of us who were essential workers. And one day she came home and she's like, this was like maybe two months ago. She's like, my friends told me my name is spelled wrong. Now my daughter reads on a 3rd grade level in kindergarten. So I said, well, what did you say? He was like, I told them that's not my name and this is how you say my name. I said, okay.
Go ahead, sister.
And then I said, and what did they say? She's like, and then they told me that's wrong. I said, and what did you do? She said, And then I just told him that's not my name. I said, okay. And then you walked away, right? And she's like, no, I didn't walk away. I said, okay, so next time they do something nasty like that to you, don't give them the time of day. Just walk away. Because we will not sit in spaces where people are being disrespectful to us. You don't have to take that. And then she come home the next day, and she's like, they keep calling me Candy. They keep saying my name is Candy. Okay, so obviously I'm going like, you're the only Black girl in this school, in this class. Your name is Kendi, which is African, and they're translating Kendi to Candy. Okay, we have a problem. So I go to the school, and the woman who lets her into the school, she says, come on, Candy. I said, that's not her name. Please don't call her that. Her name is Kendi, and you will call her Kendi. And the lady looks at me and says, come on in. Didn't even bother to say her name. I said, okay. I took note of it. The next day, one of her classmates come in. She's like, come on, Candy. And my daughter looks at me. I said, who was she talking to? And my daughter looked. I said, what is your name? She's like, Kendi. I was like, okay. So she's not talking to you. And her mother, the kid's mother, is standing there. And she's like, ugh. And I was like, okay, the next one of y'all that calls my child Candy, we're going to have a problem. Her name is Kendi. And I need everyone to pronounce her name the right way because she's been here a year and a half. Now, we have been patient. He has corrected every last one of y'all. But y'all will not continue to call my child Candy. Okay? That's something that you eat. That is not her name. So I get an email. It's like, please excuse the children because they cannot pronounce her name right. And I said, no. I will not excuse the children, nor will I excuse the adults who mispronounced my child's name wrong. Because at this point, we've been there for a year and a half. This is a choice. And I've been very patient with you all. My daughter has corrected you. I have corrected you. This is a choice. And so that to me was how I tackled the angry Black woman. Because in the beginning, when they pronounced her name wrong, you know me, Miss Lisa, I could have been up and through. All right, because I knew what it was, but I said, let me hold up. Let me just be patient, right? But when the time passed and the moment was right, and my child tells me that they're still doing it purposely, this is the moment where I need to step in. And at no point did I disrespect them, although they continued to disrespect me and my child. At no point did I stoop to their level. At no point did I get loud or angry. I was very clear. I was very direct. And they had a whole seminar on how to say and spell my child's name. And that's how you handle it. You know, that's
right.
You know, I don't jump the gun anymore. I don't think we can afford to jump the gun. I don't think we can afford to act out of passion and pursuit, right? I think we have to take a moment and collect ourselves first and foremost, you know, and we have to protect the crown that's on our heads. We have to be able to be level enough to say directly and clearly what it is that we need to say in order for it to translate. Doesn't mean that they're going to respect us at the end of the day. Doesn't mean that they're going to listen to us. Probably not. Who knows? But it does mean that you need to walk with your head held high with dignity and respect for yourself, but also for your fellow sisters. We don't have to be the angry Black woman to get things done. Now, sometimes anger may come out of it because we're human, right? You know, and it's unfortunate that everyone else is allowed to be angry, but we're not. But that's the the cross that we bear, and until we can rewrite our narrative, these are some of the measures that we have to take.
Absolutely. But I think it is absolutely great that this whole seminar, I would have loved to be there.
But you know, those
pronounce that baby name right.
The Kendi seminar. But you know, those stereotypes were very intentional creations to control voices, movements, and bodies. Directly comes out of slavery. And so when we had slavery and slavery was ending, that in order to justify keeping slavery, one of the stereotypes that came up with was the mammy. And the mammy stereotype was two things. One, it was to say Black women are okay with slavery. They're happy to take care of white people's families and breastfeed these babies, and they do it all with a smile, which is a complete lie. And the other thing about it is, you see how they always made Mammy with the head wrapped up and stripped of beauty. That was to say that those little mixed mulatto babies that came along, they
Mhm.
happened because it was something that the Black woman was doing, because she's clearly not attractive. She was the direct opposite of what European beauty was. And
Mhm.
that was to say that they're manipulating white men in order to create these babies, instead of the truth, which is they were victims of rape and violence and all of these things. So it strikes at beauty. The angry Black woman. When Black women started to have their voice and speak for their bodies and their property and their mind, that stereotype was created to say that she's angry. And even though Charmaine handled it in a very distinguished way, they still saw you as angry because
Mhm.
you spoke. The sheer fact that you had a voice, you spoke. That's why
Mhm.
she said, please excuse me, that they don't know how to say her name. They can say Watsinkowski and Slobovic and everything else, but they can't say Kendi. Okay. And then even with our beauty and our bodies, because again, Black women were telling people, I'm being sexually assaulted. This baby is my former master's baby or my master's baby. Because we came from Africa, where we were not wearing all these clothes, it was hot. We were not afraid of our bodies. We were either had no clothes on or just covered parts for function. They sexualized us. And
Mhm.
our hips and our breasts and our lips and everything were bigger. And so they turned that into something. They perverted our natural beauty and our natural stance to say that we were salacious and that we were promiscuous, and we would throw ourselves on masters in order to create. And that's how these babies were created.
Mhm.
So as long as we understand where those stereotypes come from and know that, one, that they are a lie, and two, to not internalize them, then we're empowered. But if we fall victim to those stereotypes, it
Right.
will silence us. It will either silence us or it will damage us.
Absolutely.
I agree. You know, as both of you were talking, I thought about the systemic and institutionalized racism that we have always felt and continue to face today. Today, it's a little bit more disguised. Not
Mhm.
really, not right now, but it was disguised for a little while. But embedded in everything that we do, there is that systematic and institutionalized racism that everybody's talking about today. And we as women must continue to speak truth to power. There's more of us. There's more of us out there, and I also thought about what Dr. King said a long, long time ago. He said, "Don't let anybody make you feel like you're nobody or that you're less than anybody else. You have to keep pushing forward, keep that faith, keep that magic that we've talked about." And I think that in this country, we must get a handle on this racism thing. I don't know all of what it's going to take, but I think the strong Black women will very much lead the way to overcoming some of these experiences that we're having and our children are having today. I think the critical race theory is out there now, and a lot of this is being talked about. It was expected when those stereotypes that you're talking about were very, very common back in my day, and I'm sure they're very common today. But our fight is eternal to get to where we want our people to be, and sometimes we suffer even in our physical health because of some of what we have experienced over time, as you were saying, Charmaine. I think I have an interview tomorrow with our newspaper, local paper, talking about racial disparities, and all of what we're talking about tonight plays into our overall health, and that's why it is just so critical example for us to support one another, stay strong, speak with one voice, and always speak in a united fashion. That's very important because we look at Kamala Harris. We're leading the way in so many things now, and that momentum is not going to go away.
Amen.
Amen. Absolutely. I think it is critical that we are definitely more vocal uh, and more vocal, especially about us being more united than we are divided. Um,
Absolutely.
More vocal about how we do stand with each other than we stand against each other. And so the more that we speak out against the stereotypes and not even use them within our own community, because
Absolutely.
we've done that before. We've heard, I mean, just look at this is it's on the topic but not on the topic. Look at how disrespectful some black men were about the young lady who
Right.
just ran the track with whatever hair color she wanted. It's her hair. She bought it, colored it, did whatever, grew it out of scalp, whatever it is, it belonged to her. She can do whatever she wants with it. And we stand by, or as black men, they went in on her. Like, come on. How much she looked like a dude. What? Really? This is your sister. This is your sister. We can't continue to do it to each other.
That's
We
right.
have to take all of our energy to lift each other up. It's enough out there in the world that's trying to pull us down. Don't work with it. Don't work with it. I thought she was beautiful. I'm like, yes, girl, you better run and set another record. Come on. And then you go and troll her. Come on.
They trolled Flojo. They did the same thing with Flojo when she came out and she had
Absolutely.
nails and her one leg, her one leg pants.
Right.
Serena when she wore her bodysuit. And
Right.
I can't remember if it was Gabby Douglas or the other young lady who's just killing the game now. Biles, and they were talking. Yeah, it might have been when they were talking about her hair and how it wasn't pressed. And
that was Gabby.
She done 6 flips in the air, and you want her hair to stay laid. How are you focusing on that? And so we do get distracted with foolishness, and unfortunately, that's one of the conveniences of the freedom that we enjoy today. Our mothers and fathers and grandparents, they didn't have time to be distracted. They were trying to stay alive.
Right.
And so when we lose focus, a lot of times we become target of ignorance. And so we have to be very, very mindful of that.
Absolutely. And France, yes, sir, I do know that it is not all black men. I appreciate you.
You had to make that clear.
Yes. And they probably really upset that I kicked them out the kitchen. So So for those who don't know, France and JT are my co-hosts on Kitchen Talk. They've been riding this wave with me for the last 5 years. So but it's the ladies' night tonight.
Oh, yes, it's ladies.
But I appreciate you guys watching. I know, didn't that bring that song to your mind? Listen, this has been so great, and we have honestly got to do this again. Ms. Harrison, oh my God, you are a gem. I love it.
God bless
I love
you.
it.
Thank you for saying that. All I've ever wanted to do was be an example for others. As I blaze the trail, and believe me, you haven't heard half the story yet. I will be 80 years old in a couple of months, so I have quite a story to tell, and I just want to be an example and a mentor for others because so many opportunities have come my way, and as I said earlier, I've stood on so many shoulders, but I do have a lot to say, and I was very privileged a couple of years ago to speak at NASA about some of experiences and things. So I do want to come back I do want to come back again because I would like to continue to share my journey. And I want to say that I have really enjoyed this session tonight. Very, very much. I've enjoyed meeting everyone and certainly hope to meet you in person one day. Let's keep on keeping on.
Oh, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Homage to the queen. Yes, yes, yes. Thank you so, so much.
Thank you
Um,
for having me.
so, Ms. Harrison, you have just one book or two?
I have two books. I did bring them in. May I show them?
Yes, ma'am, of course.
Okay, this is a first. Can you see it? This is the first book that I wrote in 2017. My pastor encouraged me to write this book. It's on how churches can set up healthcare ministries because there's only 4 or 5% of doctors that look like us or others in the healthcare profession. And in this journey, I've seen so much. And so the church plays a pivotal role in health. And churches have lots of healthcare professionals in them. And this book serves as a template to help set up healthcare ministries within the church. And I'll be forever grateful for my pastor. It's on Amazon and it's in major bookstores everywhere. And then
Great.
this one, reopening church after COVID-19, I received calls from several pastors asking me if I would take a look at writing something to help churches reopen because everyone wants safety. Everyone is concerned about their members and just how we do this. And so we did a lot of research as we got ready to write this book. And so far, it's been very well received. It is on Amazon. And of course, I have personal copies of it. Again, none of writing to me is very hard work because I wasn't born with that innate ability to write, but we push ourselves and challenge ourselves and we produce something that might help one another. All of us do. We just have to keep on pushing with everything that we do. So those are the things. I'm getting ready to do something else, but I don't want to say it in front of Kenya because I wanted to surprise her.
Okay. Well, I will definitely, Kenya, definitely send me those titles so we can put those up on our social media so we can support you as well in purchasing those books. Thank you so much for being here, for sharing with us. Dr. McLeod, you have two books as well, or is it just
Wonderful.
one? No, two, right?
So I have a book. Do I have a copy sitting up here? This place is a mess. So I have a book called the Miami Times and the Fight for Equality, and it's looking at the newspaper and its role in helping to desegregate golf courses during the 1950s, the 1940s and 50s. And my research area is the Black press. I don't know if you can see that. It just so happens. And so I'm looking at them as a civil rights, Black press as a civil rights institution. And then I helped to edit and get published the biography of Coach Alonzo S.J. Gaither at Florida A&M University. It was written by my mentor and my father figure, Roosevelt Wilson. And he had written it, just sat on the shelf for 40 years, but I was able to get it through the publishing process for him. But this hour by very quickly, Lisa, because I was thinking about Ms. Harrison and just the barriers that she's overcome in medical profession as a Black woman. And I would have loved to hear more about that. So I don't know if you could have a part two, but we were talking about how Black women often feel invisible when it comes to interacting with their doctors because, they don't think we have pain. The first time you're having any type of gynecological issue, first remedy is hysterectomies for Black women. We talked about my experience about that as it relates to, my doctor calling it a thing
Mm-hmm.
And me walking, literally, that's when I came into my knowing, and I just got up and I walked out on that doctor, because I asked him, "Are you talking about my uterus? Is that what you just called a thing?" And so those types of moments, I think, is a whole conversation in itself, because it's so many of us who are suffering unnecessarily, so many women who are dying unnecessarily because of the institutionalized medical racism. And I think Ms. Harrison probably has a perspective and an
Absolutely.
experience that would be very, very eye-opening and empowering for us. So thank you, Ms. Harrison, for everything you've done.
Yes, definitely. Oh my goodness. Anything else you got going on, Janella?
I'm working on a documentary about Coach Gaither. I have been working on that since 2017, trying to get funding. I've got a grant application in with the National Endowment for Humanity. So we're going to cross some fingers, and we're going to pray some hands that I get that $500,000 that we need in order to finish.
Yes.
And so that's something I've got going on, teaching in Florida A&M University, which has been a tremendous blessing to me and my family.
Wonderful.
Is your book on Amazon?
Yes, ma'am. It's on Amazon.
Good.
Yes. Wonderful. Okay. And I think I know both your titles, but text them to me.
Okay.
So that I'll put everybody's up on our social media pages so folks can find it. And Miss Charmaine, I know you just did Underground.
Wow.
Oh.
Yeah. Underground, which I haven't seen yet. I'm ashamed to say. I've been busy. Love. I've been busy. But I shout you out every chance I get. What else do you have going on, lady?
I am working on my own series about my life. So I'm writing that and working on that, and being a mom.
Yay. That is definitely a job within itself right there. That's like a whole lifetime job. So you never get away from that.
Right.
Wonderful. I'm super excited. Thank you everyone for joining us. Thank you for all the comments. We appreciate it so much. Listen, if you are watching us on YouTube, hit the subscribe button so you can never miss another show. It'll let you know. It'll send you just this little ding notification that we rocking it on YouTube. And then if you're watching us on Facebook, hit the like button. Also, feel free to share. Feel free to share. Sharing is caring. And so again, we are super excited to have had this time with these lovely ladies, Queen Harrison and Dr. McLeod and Miss Shaw. I mean, oh my God, it has been one amazing conversation. Thank you. We will be back here next Thursday. And listen, we're doing a versus, and I'll let you know next week who's gonna be a part of the versus. So we're doing a versus next week. So check it out. Next Thursday, same time, 9:00, right here, live stream on YouTube and Facebook. Thank you, ladies, so much. This has been amazing. I'm so we're gonna do this again. It ain't gonna be that long from now, y'all. So when I reach out, don't be like, I ain't coming on now. We have got to do this again. Amazing. Thank you all for your contributions. Thank you, Queen Harrison, for your trailblazing and for allowing us to stand on your shoulders now. We appreciate it so much. And being an example, and even, what you've done with that lovely granddaughter of yours, whom I love dearly, Kenya Williams. So thank you so much. Thank you to my guys who I gave the night off. I hope you enjoyed yourself. On the other side of the kitchen, just watching. So shout out to JT Plummer and Fransley Moyes and Jamal Coleman, who helped me so much in Rocking Kitchen Talk, CTC, Conversations That Cook. And we are out of here, guys. Good night. Good night.